So there's been a lot to take in tonight. Some really great matches, some fairly underwhelming matches, some huge twists and turns, some idiot trying to shill his crappy rap album, and even a man pissing himself live on TV. Let's take a look at what happened at Survivor Series 2018. So let's have a quick rundown of the pre-show. Just one match on the 2-hour pre-show, and that is the Tag Team Survivor Series Elimination match. And on Team SmackDown, you've got great teams such as the Usos, the New Day, and then on Team Raw, you've got the Ascension. And I'm being a bit unfair, I'm being a little bit unfair there, but it was immediately obvious which team was more stacked, which team was more likely to win. I think my favourite moment from this match was Kalisto landing a bit dodgy off the back of a back suplex, and it looked like he'd injured his knee, and then Xavier Woods just starts going, "Sweep the leg! Sweep the leg! Sweep the leg!" Fortunately, Kalisto was fine. The Colognes get eliminated first because, of course, they do. Then the B Team, then Sanity, then the Ascension, and this is all a very pre-show match, but not just a pre-show match, a sloppy pre-show match. It's funny because there's just so much talent in this ring. You've got Gallows and Anderson, you've got Sanity, you've got the New Day, the Usos, the Revival, all of those great teams, and something just didn't gel right, especially in the early stages of the match. Gallows and Anderson get eliminated next, then the Lucha House Party, leaving it just 2-on-2, Bobby Roode and Chad Gable, and the Revival taking on the Usos and the New Day. Things do pick up towards the end. Jey Uso hits Bobby Roode with a super kick and then does the whole glorious thing, and then a dive to the outside, and then Chad Gable with a beautiful German suplex from the top turnbuckle to the outside onto a mass of waiting bodies. That was fantastic. Anyway, the New Day eliminate Roode and Gable, and it looked like, just for one moment, that the Revival might actually come back and pick up the win. They did eliminate the New Day, which is great, but ultimately they were put away by the Usos. The Usos win. 1 point for Team SmackDown, or so we thought. So I did like the finish, dueling super kicks followed by the big splash, and yeah, the Usos pick up the win, but I think it's nice that the Revival were the last team, even over the Raw team captains. That's a good thing. If all of these guys got in a ring and you had to pick two of them, one team to be given an award for the most underrated, underutilized tag team, it would be the Revival, 100%. So that was nice, but a predictable ending. The first 75% of the match wasn't all that. The last 25%, it picked up a bit, but nothing great. So onto the main card, we kick off with the Women's Survivor Series traditional tag team match, Team Raw versus Team SmackDown. So Team SmackDown consists of Carmella, Asuka, Naomi, Sonya Deville, and the super secret, special, surprise entrant, and that woman is Mandy Rose, which was a little bit underwhelming, but I guess makes sense from a storyline perspective. And Team Raw's lineup is Sasha and Bayley, who replaced Natalya and Ruby Riott, who simply couldn't get along, as well as Tamina, Mickie James, and Nia Jax. Boo! She was booed throughout this whole match. Absolute chaos to kick off the match, and then Naomi quickly eats a super kick from Tamina. She gets pinned, she's the SmackDown captain, she's already out, and then Tamina gets rolled up very quickly by Sasha Banks. Why was Naomi SmackDown captain again? Whatever. We then get a quick dance break from Carmella, who is then woman-handled by Nia Jax, and boo! Anytime Nia Jax is in the ring, on camera, just being Nia Jax, she is getting booed. Heat for days. Do not mess with the man. Some nice sequences from Mickie James and Asuka, and Mickie James and Sonya Deville, but then Mickie James gets pinned by Mandy Rose, who stole the pin from Sonya Deville. One thing that I will say about this match is that there are so many stories involving these women, and they did a really great job of telling those stories in the match, even in minor ways, as I've just mentioned. I thought they did that really effectively, and we've seen that over many years. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but I think they did a really good job here. Bayley eliminates Carmella with the Bayley to belly, and then Sasha Banks puts away Mandy Rose with the bank statement, and then on the outside, Sonya Deville and Bayley get counted out. They don't return to the ring in time, so the ref counts to 10, and they are eliminated, which leaves it as Asuka versus Sasha Banks and Nia Jax. Boo! A cool little stare down between Asuka and Sasha Banks, and then some great wrestling there as well. And then Sasha, she goes up top, and Nia Jax pushes her off. Asuka lock, and Sasha has to tap, leaving it down to Asuka and Nia Jax. Boo! So Nia Jax wanted to be the sole survivor, and she did exactly that. She gets in the ring, Samoan drop, 1, 2, 3, defeats Asuka, picking up the win for Team Raw, but more importantly, picking up the win for Team Nia Jax. And she is the most hated woman in the world. Myra Hindley has nothing on Nia Jax. Heat for days. So, some great storyline progression in this match, and we now have a huge heel in Nia Jax. And if you're pissed off, then good, because you should be, and so am I. However, what I'm certain WWE are doing here is in fact clever. They're not rewarding a woman for injuring one of her colleagues. Instead, they're capitalizing on the pre-existing heat, which is already there, to create somebody that we truly want to see being beaten up. And that is the fundamental basis of professional wrestling. Just imagine how good it's going to feel to see Nia Jax be completely demolished by Becky Lynch or Ronda Rousey. I would pay to see that. Countless others would pay to see that. And with that, Raw go up 1-0, because apparently the pre-show doesn't count. Next up, Seth Rollins versus Shinsuke Nakamura, or should I say Shinsuke Nakablura, because he's wearing blue pajamas for some reason. It looks like Duke the Dumpster Droese has shagged Michael Flatley. So a really good match here, both men stealing each other's taunts, some really inventive reversals, some stiff-looking strikes. It's basically exactly what we expected. We all know how good Shinsuke Nakamura is, we all know how good Seth Rollins is, and this was a match between Shinsuke Nakamura and Seth Rollins, and that's pretty much it. But it was nice to have a reminder of just how good Shinsuke can be when actually given matches to wrestle in, unlike every week on TV where he just does a backstage promo for some reason. So yeah, this was good. Seth wins with the curb stomp, and Dean Ambrose is nowhere to be seen at all. This was the match where I was expecting interference. That didn't happen. Later in the night we find out that Rollins versus Ambrose is going to happen at TLC for the IC title, and yeah, that's it. I'd have liked to see Shinsuke win because we just don't see enough of him. But you can't complain about Seth beating Nakamura in the same way that you couldn't really complain about Nakamura beating Seth, I guess, and there you go. Next up, it's AOP versus The Bar, and let's just get this out of the way. Enzo Amore, for some reason, the artist formerly known as Enzo Amore, Real One, was in the front row for some reason with his own crappy title belt, and he was doing the whole, and you can't teach that shtick, and just trying to distract the audience and the people watching at home from watching the wrestling matches, his former colleagues. And that's the last that I'm going to mention of this, because it was a dick move on Enzo's part, and let's not give him any more attention because that's exactly what he wants. And I've just done it there, and I know that's BS, so screw you. So an alright match between three absolute units, and Cesaro, that's not fair. Cesaro, you're a unit too, an honorary unit. Cesaro, you are the man, not the Becky Lynch man. What am I saying? Cesaro, I like you. And then shenanigans ahoy as Drake Maverick causes the distraction and then runs face first into the Big Show, and then the Big Show grabs him and lifts him up, and he pisses his pants. Drake Maverick pisses his pants because he's small and scared. AOP pick up the win following the piss and urine, and somewhere backstage Vince is laughing because piss. There wasn't as much piss as when Vince pissed, but there was piss. There was 3-0 to Raw. So after that piss-poor finish, get it, is the Cruiserweight title match, Buddy Murphy versus Mustafa Ali, and I thought this was fantastic. Loads of brilliant spots here, of course there were. It's a Cruiserweight title match. I'm not going to run down all of them. At one point, Buddy Murphy shoved Mustafa Ali, who was on the middle rope, to the outside into the crowd barrier. It looked absolutely vicious. I loved it. Later on, Buddy Murphy just launches Mustafa out of the ring, and then this huge dive over the top rope, which was beautiful, and Buddy Murphy's just fantastic. Who'd have thought that we would be speaking about Buddy Murphy in the way that we do today a year ago, if that makes sense. Buddy Murphy has come on leaps and bounds, and everything that he does looks so vicious. It's so in-fitting with his character. It's so believable. He sort of reminds me of a Cruiserweight Andrade Cien Almas, if that makes sense. You just believe everything that he does in the ring. I'm trying not to break down each move, but there was this amazing tornado DDT by Mustafa Ali, and then the Spanish Fly off the announce table to the outside on the floor. You need to go and watch this match. It was brilliant. Murphy hits a huge knee followed by Murphy's Law to pick up the win and retain the Cruiserweight title. No problem there at all. I think Murphy's a great champion. He only won it recently in Australia, so yeah, no issue at all there. And what another terrific advertisement for 205 Live. These matches that go on pay-per-views are just the best way of getting new eyes on that product. Not enough people are watching it, and each and every week it's fantastic. Next up, it's the men's traditional 5-on-5 Live Survivor Series tag team match, and oh boy, does SmackDown Live need a win here. So Braun insists on starting the match, but no. Drew McIntyre tags himself in and then immediately gets locked in the Coquina clutch. It looks like he's about to tap, but no, he reverses it. Claymore. 1, 2, 3, Samoa Joe, straight away eliminated. Mixed feelings about this because I'm fed up of seeing Samoa Joe lose, especially when it counts. It's really bothering me, but at the same time, if there's anybody who is going to eliminate Samoa Joe in convincing fashion, I guess I'm glad that it's Drew McIntyre. We then see Shane McMahon and Dolph Ziggler square off in a throwback to the final of the WWE World Cup. And spoiler, Shane McMahon lasts a lot longer than former TNA and former NXT champion Samoa Joe in this one. Stay tuned. Braun then tags in, but then Drew McIntyre tags himself in, and the Monster and the Scottish Monster, the Muck Monster, square off, and it all descends into absolute chaos. They start fighting, and then SmackDown Live all come in, and it's pandemonium, as Gorilla Monsoon would say. Shane then hits a flying elbow from the top turnbuckle to the outside through the announce table, because of course he does. He's Shane McMahon, and that's what he does. Back to the ring, and Drew McIntyre is the legal man. He wants to stay the legal man. He doesn't want anyone else in his ring, but Finn Balor makes the tag, and then it all kicks off once again. Finn kicks him, and then a little while later, Finn is eliminated by Rey Mysterio. A little later again, Shane hobbles feebly back to the ring despite the fact that he's completely knackered after going through the table with the elbow drop, and thinks, screw it! I'll do a coast to coast on Dolph Ziggler, and he pins Dolph Ziggler again. Where is Steve Blackman to chase Shane up something tall when you need him? Spoke too soon, Miz then gets Bobby Lashley in the corner and goes, Shane! Do another one! Do another one, Shane! So Shane sets up for another coast to coast. Fortunately, this time he gets taken out mid-air with a huge clothesline by Braun Strowman, and then it looks like he's going to be pinned, but no, Rey Mysterio gets in and makes the save because they can't lose Shane. If they lose Shane, they're well and truly screwed. Wrestling in 2018 is weird. Two quick eliminations now as Braun power slams Jeff Hardy, 1, 2, 3, and then Rey Mysterio, 1, 2, 3. It's down to 3 on 2. I spoke too soon. He then power slams The Miz. It's down to 3 on 1. Bobby Lashley, Drew McIntyre, and Braun Strowman versus Shane McMahon, and I'm knackered just talking about this. Braun then destroys Shane McMahon. Power slam. Shane kicks out, pins all 3 men. Your winner, best in the world, best Survivor Series man in the world, Shane McMahon. I made that up. That didn't happen. Thank the Lord. Shane is pinned after 1 running power slam. Thank you. 1, 2, 3, and Team Raw pick up the win, and they've won. They've won the whole show now. Unless you count the pre-show, which we don't. After the match, Corbin attacked Braun because he can now, and I love this match. I think this was the right kind of chaos. Every man, most importantly, had a chance to shine, except for Samoa Joe. Trying not to think about Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe deserves better. And most importantly, Shane McMahon didn't win. I especially loved McIntyre's contributions to the match, both from a character and in-ring standpoint. I always think that maybe it comes across as favoritism when we're talking about how Drew is probably going to be the first British WWE champion and all that. And that's really not the case. I really just think he is that good. He is the total package. He's got the look, he's got the in-ring skills, he's got the mic skills, and he's really big, which helps. So I was really happy to see Drew McIntyre have a very strong showing in this. I think it's done him wonders, even if it was at the expense of Samoa Joe. Next up is the Raw Women's Champion Ronda Rousey versus the not SmackDown Women's Champion Charlotte Flair. So a brawling start to the match as Charlotte Flair just shoves down Ronda Rousey. She goes to the mat, and then they both try to lock in their submission finishers to end the match early. Soon after, an unfortunate errant elbow from Charlotte Flair busts open Ronda Rousey. She's bleeding from the mouth. I say it's unfortunate, and of course it is unfortunate, but it was quite gruesome. It was a really strong image, especially towards the end of the match. Charlotte ends up hitting a huge spear with the nearest of near falls, and then goes for the figure 8, which gets reversed, and this is just such high drama stuff. I think some of us in recent weeks have maybe lost sight of just how great a wrestler already Ronda Rousey is. All of our attention has very much been on Becky Lynch, and that's fine because Becky is unbelievably talented, but Ronda Rousey never disappoints on pay-per-view. I honestly think this was her best match since WrestleMania. What I loved most about this match is that it really just felt like both women wanted desperately to win. And I know that may sound really stupid because obviously it's a wrestling match, both people want to win. But sometimes it does feel like wrestlers are maybe just going through the motions. This was the exact opposite. These were just two women who were trying to prove that they are tougher than each other. And I thought it was great. From start to finish, this was intense, this was brutal. It was brilliant. Speaking of brutal, Charlotte then grabs a kendo stick and completely ruins Ronda Rousey with it, causing a DQ. So Charlotte's lost, Ronda Rousey has won. That means Ross and myself have won. But in the process, she's turned heel, and I'm so happy about this because heel Charlotte is the best Charlotte. So I'm not entirely sure what to make of this. Charlotte was getting cheered so much as she trapped Ronda Rousey's almost lifeless body in a chair, and then she's gone full Becky. I think this is the best possible outcome from this match. A match that not many of us, after Becky was removed from it, were that excited about. Ronda, still protected. She looked super strong. She walked out of the building on her own 2 feet. She didn't need help from the officials. Charlotte, once again, she's heel, which is the best. And I guess, thinking about the future, this means that upcoming, the almost inevitable 4 horsewomen versus 4 horsewomen match now feels like it's about more people than just Becky and Ronda. That's a good thing. Or if the other option, which has been rumored for a long, long time, Charlotte versus Ronda at WrestleMania, we've now got a great setup to that. I love this. I think this was match of the night for me. Truly compelling stuff. And hey, Ronda, you might not have got cheered tonight, but you will get cheered when you absolutely kick the living piss out of Nia Jax very shortly. So chin up, Vince. Main event time, and it's the WWE Champion Daniel Bryan versus the Universal Champion Brock Lesnar. So as Brock Lesnar enters, Daniel Bryan is just taunting him, making fun of Brock Lesnar. And I like this because we don't really know what to expect from Daniel Bryan's new heel character. I'm not sure that we're any the wiser after tonight, but I will get to that. Anyway, he's just taunting him, and we don't know how this is going to pan out. How is it going to pan out? I'll tell you how. A nice little game of cat and mouse. So Daniel Bryan makes Brock Lesnar run after him. He finally gets caught, clotheslined hard, and then just thrown on his head again and again and again. So he's taking him to Suplex City. We've seen it all before. Then he picks him up, and a bear hug, which we all know is Daniel Bryan's kryptonite. He hates bears, can't deal with them. And then F5, and it looks like he's just going to cover him, but no. Before the referee can count, he just picks him up because he wants to play with him a little more, the bastard. So Bryan's on the mat, Brock's toying with him, and then Daniel Bryan just starts kicking Brock Lesnar in the head. Brock is pissed off by this point. He lifts him up, goes for another F5, but hits the ref. Ref bump, the ref is down. Daniel Bryan hoofs him in the cock, running knee. 1, 2, so close. So Bryan's making a comeback, and he's been heel for less than a week, and it doesn't matter at this point. Daniel Bryan, end that big, sweaty, tomato-faced bastard. Please. So they then scrap on the outside. Daniel Bryan hits another running knee. Brock Lesnar grabs him and he's throwing him into the post. And then they get back in the ring, and Daniel Bryan, because he's worked the leg on the outside, Daniel Bryan's picked up into the F5 position, but Brock can't hold him. He collapses, and Daniel Bryan manages to lock in the yes lock. And he's cinching, and Brock Lesnar just manages to get out. And then Daniel Bryan just starts clubbing Brock Lesnar again and again. And it looks like, despite the fact that we know it's not going to happen, Brock Lesnar might tap out, but he just manages to escape. So Brock manages to wrestle out of the yes lock. He picks him up, F5, and Brock wins, and that's the end. That's the result. We knew that was coming, but what I will say is that when Brock Lesnar cares about the person that he's in the ring with, he will give it his all and he will tell a story. We saw it last year with AJ Styles, and we saw it tonight with Daniel Bryan, and I thought this match was really, really good. So yeah, we all knew that Brock Lesnar was winning, but for a moment, it looked like Daniel Bryan had outsmarted him. It looked like Daniel Bryan was going to out-wrestle him. That didn't happen, but for one moment, and I think it's fair to say this has been the first time since his return, Daniel Bryan felt special again. Forget the fact that he's heel. He wasn't presented as much of a heel tonight. I'm still none the wiser as to what his heel character is, but I don't care because this was so entertaining. So a largely enjoyable night. Some things were not so good, but especially towards the end of the night, I think most things were fantastic, genuinely. And congratulations to Team Raw, who pick up the win with a clean sweep. But the joke's on you, because Team SmackDown, they've got $1 billion coming their way from Fox, and they're going to spend it on pyro and crack and hookers and... I'll stop talking. Bye! So that's all from me. Thanks for watching. You can follow me on Twitter here. If you enjoy what we do here at Cultaholic, you can pledge to our Patreon. That's patreon.com/Cultaholic. And most importantly, don't forget to hit subscribe and join us.